Olá, pessoal. O David S. Goyer, o criador de Foundation, não foi a única pessoa com quem eu conversei a respeito dessa série da Apple TV+. Eu falei também com o grande Jared Harris, um ator fenomenal que faz o personagem principal da série, o Harry Seldon. Conversei com o Lee Pace, que faz o Imperador Cleon, a Laura Birn, que interpreta a última robô da galáxia, a Demerzel, e a Llobell, que faz uma discípula muito importante do Harry Seldon, a Gayle Dornick. Atenção, aqui não tem nenhum fura-greve, tá? Todas essas entrevistas foram feitas antes que a greve do Sindicato dos Atores fosse decretada. É isso, divirtam-se. Jared, Harry Seldon is, a tougher character maybe to pinpoint than most. How did you create him together with David and David's script, considering that Asimov didn't bother very much with character development, didn't he?
Well, certainly not with Harry. I mean, he only appears in two. I mean, it's interesting because he appears in two of the original short stories. And then much later on, he went back and he wrote prequels, and then you definitely get a different version of Harry, a younger version of Harry, and a kind of more innocent, clumsy version of the character. Yeah, I mean, I had lots of talks with him about it, he said there was going to be these two different versions of the character, and about how we would delineate the two versions of the character. Obviously, he always has information in his head, which he isn't sharing everything with you, not unlike Harry. And he, the bits that he did tell me about, you use as a way of, you have to have secrets when you're an actor in scenes. You have information that other people don't, and that helps rather than everything being on the surface and superficial, so right. And it helps if the information you have is actually going to be information that's going to be useful later on, because then people will go, ooh, look at that, that's proper acting. Yeah.
Now, Harry, you're not only keeping secrets as an actor, but Harry is very adept at manipulating or controlling the information he gives to other people.
Yeah.
Holding back, letting on, it's kind of an art for him. And I try to, censor him for it, but I can't. I just love the guy.
Well, thank you. Well, part of it is that he's if he introduces too much information, he will change the outcome. So he to some extent there's an expectation of where this is going, but he can't tell everybody that, because otherwise that will immediately change what happens. So it's a game between giving people enough information so that they can succeed, but not too much that they're going to trip themselves up.
Do you think he enjoys the position he's now of being considered a prophet and having a religion founded in his name? Do you think he's enjoying that, or do you think he's wary of that, considering what he knows and what psychohistory has told him?
Well, there's two versions of him. So one of them isn't experiencing that, but the one who is, I think, be smart enough to realize that it's a very dangerous thing to be worshipped. Because it will distort and contort you. And I think that one of the fun things about playing the other version of him is that against his better instincts, he starts to enjoy it.
What's your take on Gayle? Because she's so intelligent. She is so well-versed in science, and at the same time, she can be very naive and inexperienced. She can be gullible, even.
She can, and she was, and I think she kicks herself for it, Season 1. Season 2, I think she definitely sees more value in her power and takes control a lot more. And her naivety, albeit maybe it's still there and maybe she still has aspects of wanting to believe Harry and wanting to believe that this is the right thing to do, she is starting to work things out for herself and starting to like create plans that she, you know, with her understanding. And that's such a powerful thing, to watch a woman go from what she was to where she is by the end of season 2. Yeah.
There's something very hopeful about his faith and David's faith in the human spirit and ingenuity, but there's also a sort of fatalism to the show, isn't there? Or
yeah.
to the basic idea that we'll never be rid of these power struggles.
Yeah, and
isn't it?
believe that. I struggle to imagine a world where people don't, you know what I mean, that people would be doing anything other than that. Of course we can better it and try and make it less abundant, but I do not think that, I think it's just something inherent in us as human beings that we love the idea of being in charge.
Yes. So that's a very, very intriguing relationship, like nothing I've ever seen. And I'd like to know how the two of you look at it as actors.
Wow. Well, we also are kind of caught in the riddle of it, the kind of enigmatic contradiction of it. It's, for people who are just new to the show, I play Cleon, who's the Emperor of the Galaxy, who is cloning himself. So in this next season, I play the 18th iteration of Cleon. And I am looked after, raised, my biggest advisor in this season, also my lover, confidant, soulmate, is...
And enabler.
And enabler, accomplice maybe even too, you know, where is
He always blames me for everything.
well, she's the one who raised me, so if anyone's got a problem with me, they can look to my...
Is your
Yes,
mom
it's
always
always the mom,
responsible
isn't
for
it?
all of your
I didn't
decisions?
do it. My mother did.
Yes, when things are going well, they take the pride, and when there are problems, like, where's the robot?
Yeah, she's a robot. So
She's a robot.
yeah, it's an
And,
artificial intelligence.
There are some big egos in the palace, in the empire, and she just takes care of them and their messes century after century. And I do find the relationship so intriguing because, like, she kind of gives birth in her own way to these, like, to a new boy after every Cleon, and kind of, I think there's genuine love for that small innocent child, and then she teaches them everything they know. She knows all of their secrets, and at some point they turn to be the Emperor of the Galaxy. And then the power struggle is real. It's kind of like that, which one in the end has the final word, and I think they always compete. I think her relationship always with the middle throne is the hardest because it's the most complex, and they kind of really fight for the who's actually leading the show, who's actually kind of guiding. And her mission is to save the genetic dynasty, like defend the genetic dynasty over everything. And then he comes up with these ideas.
And I think the Cleons all, you know, each one of them believes that they are special, they're unique, they're stronger than the rest. This one in particular, I think, he thinks I'm better than the rest of those Cleons, and I will strike out on my own. I think the interesting question between the two of them is really who is enslaving who.
Yes.
You know, that's the, you know, they love each other, but they're also like bound together.
Jared, you've done so much brilliant work in brilliant shows these last few years. Do you think that TV has become a more fertile ground for an actor these days?
I don't think the term TV is relevant any longer.
I agree.
You know, people are making films which are consumed on streaming platforms, or they're consumed in the cinema, or they're consumed on your phone, on your laptop. So I don't think that idea that we have of there's a difference between TV and film exists any longer. I think that's gone. I think that it's probably, you know, getting people out of their home into the cinema requires a certain sort of experience, you know? So in that sense, there's a scale that would be different, you know. But in terms of storytelling, there's a bolder and more adventurous sense of storytelling and risk-taking that is happening with stories that are told on, the subscription models or the streamers and stuff like that. As an actor, those are more exciting possibilities.
Cinema has become, of course, not cinema itself, but the industry has become a bit reductive, hasn't it, in its understanding of what the audience wants and where the money is. You don't see these kinds of stories in movies now.
Well, I mean, you do in European cinema and stuff like that. That's true.
Sure.
But in the sort of like mainstream Western, for want of a better word, Hollywood films, no, because they're really expensive. It's incredibly expensive to promote. So, you can't do a little family drama of, like, remember My Dinner with Andre? A
Yes.
conversation that takes place over dinner. It was a fantastic movie. Well, that would just suffocate in the market now if you're going to try and pull that out and get people to come to the cinema to see that, So I think it's sort of become a victim of its own size, if you like. And but there's, there is not everybody wants to go and see that, and they're being catered to through these other models, So a lot of the time, I mean, my wife and I, we spend more time catching up with shows that are online rather than going out to the cinema.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Jared, as a member of the audience, what does he watch?
Oh, God. Well,
Foundation, of
we
course.
just watched Andor.
Isn't it great?
I really enjoyed it. I loved Stellan. He's so fantastic. In fact, he reminds me of a Harry Seldon character, really.
Yes,
He's got a lot of the same kind of motivations. And, I noticed that the phrase foundation comes up a couple of times in the show. I really enjoyed it. It's great storytelling. What else have we watched?
I wasn't expecting that. I love it, that you loved Andrew.
I love sci-fi. That's why I signed on. I like sci-fi. Love Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, all that stuff.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
I love it also. Good. I'm so happy right now that... Jared, it's really, really a pleasure
Thank you very
talking
much.
to you. And, as I said, a privilege as well.
Bless you.
Se você gostou desse vídeo, não se esqueça de curtir, inscreva-se no canal, clique no sininho e a gente se vê no próximo vídeo.